Almost 1 year ago, it seemed like the Mario Party series was making a triumphant comeback. After a couple underwhelming titles that changed too much of the core appeal, fans were excited to see a return to form, with individual movement across boards, and lots of new characters that each had their own unique dice blocks. Not to mention, they advertised online play with friends for a franchise first. It seemed like a slam dunk. But now, not only is Super Mario Party gathering dust on the shelf for most that bought it, it seems to be forgotten by Nintendo itself. How could such an easy win fall off people's radars so quickly? Welcome to another episode of Bad Game Design. Let's talk about it. I've put way more hours into Super Mario Party than I expected to. I even bought an extra set of Joy-Cons to make sure all my friends could play. And at first, it really was a smash hit. The minigames are excellent. And the addition of HD Rumble made for some really cool concepts that could only be possible on the Switch. They also added a ton of different features, like the co-op river run, a rhythm-based concert mode, and Challenge Road for the single-player experience. The problem is that the more you play, the less enjoyable it becomes, and the flaws start to take center stage. Obviously, the main attraction is Party Mode, but right away you notice the game only has 3 maps, with one more unlockable over time. If that seems low, it's because every other title had at least 5, sometimes 6 from the very start, and more you could unlock eventually. So immediately the replayability and variety is greatly reduced compared to past entries. But to add insult to injury, the online play they boasted about is only for one particular mode where you face off against 5 minigames and declare a victor. No boards, no other game styles, just Mario-thon. Yikes. But the biggest gripe, and probably the most curious one, is that there has not been a single peep of upcoming DLC for the game. Launching with limited options is one thing, but unlike other less popular titles such as Mario Tennis Aces or ARMS, without any free updates or even paid additions to make the game more interesting, it starts to make sense how Super Mario Party could be dead in the water. Actually, I should say it did receive one update back in March, but it was a simple bug fix to make sure information was showing correctly. But I can't pretend that lack of support was the only thing wrong here. Adding more boards or new minigames couldn't save it from the other issues I had while playing countless matches with friends. Having 4 maps wouldn't be the end of the world if they were diverse and interesting to play, but after a single match of each, you realize they don't have a lot to offer. They're very linear and more or less revolve around one main path with little to no shortcuts. Whomp's Domino Ruins is a giant loop with tiny smaller loops along the way. There's really only one direction to go. Kamek's Tantalizing Tower is a straight line with almost no deviation, and the star is always at the top, so high rolls are objectively going to be better here. Very little strategy involved. Mega Fruit Paradise looks the coolest, but is just 4 smaller circles with little ability to travel between them. And King Bob-omb's Powder Keg Mine is probably the best one, but only because it offers a single exit on each side through the middle. You still need to go around the big outer ring most of the time. Looking at past board layouts, 2 things are clear to me. They used to be much more intricate and complex in the choices you could make, but they also were a lot bigger. Simple and small is the name of the game here, and it makes sense when you account for the fact that each player's dice roll is reduced to a max of 6 now. But this brings a whole new set of problems with it. Having dice go from 1 to 10 of course is fitting when you have more ground to cover, but it also increases the likelihood of getting a decent roll that makes you feel like you're progressing. Now, between a 1 and 6, the chance of barely moving along feels unavoidable. There are ways to increase this with items, but they only bump your dice by 3 or 5 at most. So getting that lucky combo of a massive roll and dominating the board is no longer possible here. You might say, but hey Snowman, each character has a special dice, remember? So you can get a 10, you just need to pick the ones who have it available to them. The issue here is that to compensate for a higher roll, the rest of the dice is reduced to zeros, or affecting your coins, which is also a 0. So if you choose Donkey Kong for example, while yes you could get a 10 every time, the chance of that happening is very low, and instead you might sit on the same space for multiple turns, and lose any momentum you may have had. There are allies to increase your roll by 1 or 2, but you have to land on their spaces to receive them, otherwise you're out of luck. This, combined with the long linear nature of the level layouts, means that a star might spawn right behind you and it'll take 10 turns just to reach it again. It's hard enough to land on the right islands in the fruit stage as it is, but eventually the sand bridge goes out. So if you're here and the star spawns over here, you'd have to go all the way around and through 2 pipes to reach it. And by then, someone else will probably get it and move it over there again. The result is a game mode that feels very slow, and that's probably the single word I would use to describe Super Mario Party as a whole. Getting a star is grueling because you have to sit through this lengthy cutscene and then watch Toadette lazily drift over to her next location, every single time. I have no idea why they chose to do this, but whenever you start a new game and look at the map for the first time, it automatically makes you watch the toad tips of where the different routes go and how to get around. Helpful, yes, but please make it optional. Now I just avoid clicking the map button for fear of triggering it. You also can't avoid the final 3 turn spiel that drags on and on. You gotta see the standings, have a guest judge say who's gonna win, turn all spots into plus or minus 6 coins, and watch Kamek turn bad luck spaces into very bad luck spaces. Ooh. This all would be okay if you could skip or speed it up, but there's no way to do that. So the longer you play, the more agonizing this becomes. You can skip other cutscenes or choose not to have the rules explained, so I don't know why they made these mandatory. And that's truly the nail in the coffin for me. There are virtually no option menus or ways to adjust anything. The oldest entries in the series had tons of ways to customize your experience. Mario Party 3 had handicap stars and custom number of turns from 10 to 50. In Mario Party 2, you could turn bonus stars on or off. Heck, even the first title had individual difficulties for computer characters and the ability to skip minigame instructions or speed up text. None of those features are present here. You have to have 2 bonus stars at the end, there's no way to add handicaps, and you can only play 10 to 20 turns with a minimum game time of 60 minutes, which is twice as long as the original games. Look, I'll be the first to admit that as the series progressed, they did add more and more mechanics that slowed down the overall gameplay, Mario Party 7 being a particular culprit. With Bowser minigames, dueling, Shy Guys all over the place, but at least they had interesting things happening. Say what you want about the desert map adding a mirage star that disappeared when you reached it, I'll take that any day compared to Super's bland designs of digging for coins, or rolling a boulder to push you back yet again, thanks Mario! There's so many questionable choices, like lowering the coin requirement for a star from 20 to 10, but then also changing minigames so that every player gets a handful, not just the winner. So as a result, everyone has a boatload of money by the end of the game. And with movement being so sluggish, this really only leads to one viable strategy: farming golden pipes. They only cost 10 coins and take you straight to the star without fail. Golden pipes are very OP and super uninteresting. Now, to be clear, as I said, the mini-games are phenomenal. In fact, the last several times I've played, that's all we did. Head over to our favorites list and have a grand old time. But even with other modes thrown in as valiant efforts, there wasn't enough meat on the bones to hold our attention. The bait and switch of the online play was a glaring missed opportunity, but the lack of any new content being added is the biggest head scratcher of all. There was enough outcry after Mario Maker 2 tried a similar tactic that they quickly changed their stance and will add true online with friends eventually. So I'm blown away that while other games have gotten loads of post-release attention, Super Mario Party, despite its promising elevator pitch, has continued to get the cold shoulder. Now, you could definitely make the argument that they're probably working on a sequel. There's clearly no shortage of other entries on the same console, so maybe they'll fix these complaints in a new title. And that could very well be true. But at least for now, a year after its initial release, we've heard no news on any front. Sequel, DLC, anything. So instead, we're wondering why they left a half-baked release untouched. Just to tease us enough to wet our whistle, but not enough to have a full experience. To wrap up, if they do end up creating a new entry instead, let's talk about what they could do to alleviate some of these issues. The obvious answer is to simply add more boards, but I don't even think they would need to reinvent the wheel here. What if they took the Mario Kart approach and threw in classic maps from the original games? It would be awesome to see the same clever layouts with an updated look, and a few tweaks to make them even more enjoyable. The charm of Mario Party 2, complete with outfits and ending cinematics fitting the theme, is yet to be matched in my opinion. I would also love to see way more options. Let me skip annoying cutscenes, customize my game settings, maybe even add specific bonus stars instead of just turning them on or off. That could add special challenge objectives in addition to collecting the most stars. I don't even mind the idea of having unique dice for each character, but they should definitely add more ways to travel farther. Bigger and more complex maps are preferred, but on top of this, it just feels more enjoyable when you're actually making progress, and have multiple ways to reach your goal. At the end of the day, the mini-games are arguably the most memorable part of Mario Party, but I think we look back at them so fondly because the whole package complemented those heart-pounding game nights with friends. No matter where the series goes from here, I hope they remember that all the pieces have to fall into place to stand the test of time. If you could create the perfect Mario Party game, what elements would you include? Did I miss anything that would really complete the experience in your eyes? Let me know in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching another episode of Bad Game Design. I'll see you guys next time. Stay frosty, my friends. If you want to help support the channel and get a ton of awesome rewards in the process, you can chip in at patreon.com/snowmangaming.